In the far reaches of the galaxy, the Galactic Empire thrived, its power growing with every conquered world. From the moment they had established their dominion, they viewed themselves as the ultimate authority, a force that no one could challenge. Among their many conquests, they had encountered various civilizations, easily overpowering those they deemed weaker. This success bred arrogance, blinding them to the potential threats lurking in the cosmos. As the Empire expanded, they received reports of a new species emerging on the galactic stage: humans. These beings hailed from a distant blue planet called Earth. While the Empire's scouts noted the humans' rapid technological advancements, their initial assessments deemed them primitive and unworthy of concern. The Empire's leaders laughed off the warnings from smaller allied species, dismissing them as exaggerations. Humans, just another insignificant race, they scoffed. In the Empire's central command, high-ranking officials gathered around a massive holographic display, showcasing their vast territories. Admiral Thrax, a seasoned officer with years of military experience, sneered as he surveyed the human colonies. "We should show them the might of the Empire. A single fleet will suffice to crush their spirit," he declared, his confidence radiating through the room. His colleagues nodded in agreement, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. The Empire was eager to demonstrate its strength. They planned to send a powerful fleet to the human-colonized planet of Arcadia, a lush world that had recently fallen under human control. Little did they know, this decision would mark the beginning of their downfall. As the fleet prepared for departure, warnings continued to flood in from allies who had previously engaged with humans. "They are more than they appear. You must not underestimate them," pleaded a representative from a nearby star system. But their pleas fell on deaf ears. The Empire's leaders, intoxicated by their own victories, silenced dissenting voices. They could not imagine that this so-called primitive race would dare to stand against them. Meanwhile, on Arcadia, human settlers were busy fortifying their defenses. Captain Lena Carter, a skilled leader, oversaw the preparations. She had heard whispers of the Empire's approach and knew the danger they posed. Humans had faced countless challenges throughout their history, from natural disasters to wars among themselves. Each struggle had forged their resilience, making them stronger with every trial. As news of the Empire's impending arrival spread, Lena gathered her troops. "We may be outnumbered," she began, her voice steady, "but we have something they don't: our determination to protect our home." The soldiers cheered, their spirits lifted by her words. They understood the stakes. They had fought for their freedom and would not surrender without a fight. The day of reckoning arrived. The Empire's fleet, a majestic array of warships, descended upon Arcadia like a storm. The humans watched from their makeshift defenses, a mix of fear and resolve swelling within them. As the ships loomed overhead, their engines roaring, Lena's heart raced. She knew this was their moment to prove themselves. Admiral Thrax ordered the first salvo, confident that the overwhelming firepower would decimate any opposition. However, as the first shots rang out, the humans were ready. They had devised tactics that played to their strengths, using the terrain to their advantage and coordinating their response with precision. They struck back, their weapons blazing. The Empire's initial confidence began to waver as they faced a surprising resistance. Lena led her troops in a series of counterattacks, each one more daring than the last. The humans fought with a ferocity that shocked the Empire's commanders. "How are they holding up?" Thrax growled, disbelief etched on his face. As the battle raged, it became clear the humans were not as weak as the Empire had believed. With every passing moment, they fought back harder, refusing to yield. The Empire's arrogance was their greatest flaw, and now it was turning against them. The first engagement turned into chaos, and the Empire found themselves entangled in a fight they never expected. Lena smiled grimly as she witnessed her troops rallying together, fueled by the determination to defend their home. Little did the Empire know, this battle was just the beginning of their reckoning. With a surge of hope, the humans pressed on, determined to show the Empire that they should have listened to the warnings. The tide of battle was shifting, and as the sun set on Arcadia, a new era was dawning, one where humanity would no longer be seen as insignificant. As the sun rose over Arcadia, the battle continued to rage. The Galactic Empire had expected an easy victory, but what they faced was something entirely different. The human defense was fierce, and the Empire's confidence began to crumble under the weight of unexpected resistance. Admiral Thrax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dreadnought Asterisk. He watched as his ships unleashed a torrent of fire upon the human defenses. "Crush them. Show them the might of the Empire," he shouted, his voice echoing through the command center. Yet, as the battle unfolded, the humans proved more than capable of defending their territory. Captain Lina Carter, leading the human forces, watched from her command center as explosions lit up the sky. She felt adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We have to hit them hard and fast," she urged her officers. "Use the terrain to our advantage. They're bigger, but we're smarter." With quick coordination, the human ships darted between the dense forests and rocky mountains of Arcadia, avoiding the Empire's heavy fire. The Empire's larger warships struggled to track their smaller, agile targets. Humans utilized tactics learned from centuries of warfare, blending guerrilla strategies with their advanced technology. As the Empire's forces advanced, they found their approach hindered by unexpected traps. Mines hidden beneath the surface exploded, taking out entire squadrons of Empire fighters. Thrax slammed his fist on the console in frustration. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They should be crumbling under our firepower." Meanwhile, Lina directed her forces with precision. "Focus fire on that cruiser," she ordered, pointing to a massive Empire ship that was breaking through their lines. The human fighters rallied around her command, their determination igniting as they launched a series of concentrated attacks. The cruiser shuddered under the assault, alarms blaring as its shields began to fail. On the Empire's side, confusion spread among the ranks. Officers barked orders, but the Empire's rigid command structure struggled to adapt to the chaotic nature of the battle. Soldiers were losing morale, unable to comprehend how a supposedly inferior race could put up such a fierce fight. In a desperate bid to regain control, Thrax ordered a full-scale assault. "All ships, advance. We will not be defeated by these creatures." He clung to the belief that sheer numbers would prevail. As the Empire pushed forward, the humans executed a well-timed counterattack. With their defenses fortified, Lina and her crew launched a surprise ambush. They targeted the weakest points in the Empire's formation, striking swiftly and retreating before the enemy could retaliate. The sounds of battle echoed across the landscape. Blasts of energy, shouts of command, and the cries of the wounded filled the air. Lina felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was a fight for their survival. "Keep pushing. Don't let up," she shouted, rallying her troops as they pressed on, refusing to back down. In the chaos, the Empire suffered significant losses. Ships that once soared with confidence now lay crippled or destroyed. The arrogance of the Empire, which had dismissed the humans as mere pests, was being punished by the ferocity of their resistance. On the ground, human soldiers fought with determination, their hearts fueled by a desire to protect their home. They remembered the warnings they had received about the Empire, tales of tyranny and oppression. Now they were standing against it, refusing to let their world fall into darkness. As the battle wore on, Lina's strategy began to unfold. They needed to disrupt the Empire's command structure to sow discord among their ranks. "Target their communication ships," she instructed, knowing that if they could cut off orders from Thrax, the Empire would struggle to regroup. With a united effort, the human fighters focused on the command vessels. One by one, they picked off the smaller ships that relayed orders, creating chaos in the Empire's ranks. Thrax watched in disbelief as his forces began to falter. "What is happening? We must regroup," he shouted, but the voices of his officers grew silent as confusion reigned. In that moment, the tide truly began to turn. The Empire, once sure of its victory, now faced an enemy that fought with the passion and tenacity of a species that had everything to lose. Lena felt a surge of hope as she saw the Empire's ships starting to retreat, realizing that they might just win this battle after all. As explosions rocked the battlefield, the humans stood strong, ready to defend their home against an empire that had underestimated them. The war had just begun, and humanity was determined to prove that they were not to be trifled with. The battle for Arcadia raged on, but the tide was shifting. The Galactic Empire, once so confident in its superiority, was now reeling from the fierce resistance of the human forces. Admiral Thrax paced the bridge of the Dreadnought Asterisk, his face etched with frustration. The reports pouring in were worse than he had anticipated. How can they still be fighting? He demanded, his voice sharp. Meanwhile, on the ground, Captain Lena Carter stood among her troops, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. They had achieved a surprising victory, but she knew the Empire would not back down easily. The humans had shown their strength, but the Empire had vast resources and an unwavering commitment to their conquest. "We must stay vigilant," she told her soldiers. "They will come at us harder now." As night fell over Arcadia, the battlefield transformed. Explosions illuminated the sky, and the air buzzed with tension. The Empire regrouped, sending reinforcements in a desperate attempt to regain control. Thrax knew that this was a critical moment. He had to turn the tide before his forces were completely demoralized. He ordered an all-out assault, hoping that sheer numbers would overwhelm the human defenders. "Prepare for the next wave," Thrax shouted, his eyes narrowing. He felt the weight of his position pressing down on him. The Empire's reputation was at stake, and he could not afford to lose this battle. But as he rallied his troops, doubts began to creep in. Why were these humans so resilient? On the human side, Lena and her command team monitored the Empire's movements closely. They watched as more ships arrived, sensing the Empire's determination to crush them. "We need to exploit their weaknesses," Lena said, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Let's divide their forces and keep them guessing." The humans set traps and ambushes in the dense forests and rocky terrains of Arcadia. They knew their home better than the Empire ever could. As the Empire's ships advanced, the humans struck with precision, using hit-and-run tactics that left the Empire confused and disoriented. In the midst of the chaos, the Empire faced another surprise. The humans began to use technology in ways the Empire had never anticipated. Their ships, once considered inferior, had been modified for agility and speed. "What are they doing?" Thrax exclaimed as he watched human fighters dart around, evading his forces and hitting critical targets. The Empire's ships struggled to keep up. Their larger vessels, designed for power and intimidation, found themselves outmaneuvered and outsmarted by the humans. Lena smiled as she saw the effects of her strategies unfolding. The Empire was not just fighting against humans. They were facing an adaptable enemy that learned from each encounter. As the battle continued, Thrax realized that the humans were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting with a fierce spirit that fueled their determination. The Empire had underestimated their resolve. Lena's leadership and tactical brilliance shone through, inspiring her troops to fight with everything they had. "Push forward. We can win this," Lena shouted, her voice cutting through the noise of battle. Her soldiers, filled with renewed energy, responded with fierce loyalty. They had witnessed their own strength and resilience, and they were not about to back down. In a desperate bid to regain control, Thrax ordered his fleet to focus fire on Lena's command ship, hoping to take out the leader who was rallying the humans. But Lena anticipated this move. "We need to draw their fire," she instructed her pilots. "Use decoys and lead them away from the main force." As the humans executed their plan, they created distractions that drew the Empire's fire away from key positions. The strategy worked, and Thrax watched in frustration as his shots missed their intended targets. "They're playing games with us," he shouted, realizing too late that the humans were not just fighting, they were strategizing. By the end of the day, the Empire had suffered significant losses. Their confidence was shattered, and the realization set in. Humans were not the weak, unworthy beings they had believed them to be. They were resilient, resourceful, and ready to fight for their future. As night enveloped the battlefield, Lena felt a sense of hope. They had turned the tide, but she knew the Empire would not give up easily. They had learned a valuable lesson, and the next battle would be even more intense. With their home on the line, the humans were ready to face whatever came next, determined to protect their world and each other. In the quiet moments before dawn, as the smoke cleared and the stars shone above, Lena knew that this was just the beginning of a fight that would change the galaxy forever. The Empire would soon understand that underestimating humanity would be their greatest mistake. As dawn broke over Arcadia, the battlefield was a haunting sight. Wreckage from the Empire's ships lay scattered across the landscape, a grim reminder of the fierce conflict. Captain Lena Carter stood on the remnants of a once proud hilltop, surveying the aftermath with mixed emotions. They had won a crucial battle, but the fight was far from over. Lena turned to her officers, their faces weary but determined. "We need to regroup and prepare for their next move," she said firmly. "The Empire won't take this defeat lightly. They'll come back stronger." Her words hung in the air, a sobering reminder of the challenges still ahead. Meanwhile, on the Dreadnought Asterisk, Admiral Thrax fumed. His plans had unraveled, and his fleet had suffered losses that could not be easily replaced. "We underestimated them," he admitted to his officers, his voice low and tense. "These humans are more resilient than we anticipated. We need a new strategy, one that will crush their spirit once and for all." Thrax knew he had to regain control, not just of the battlefield, but of his own crew's morale. He called for a meeting with his senior officers. "We must strike hard and fast. This time, we will target their command structures and eliminate their leaders. Without them, the humans will scatter." Back on Arcadia, Lena and her team were busy fortifying their defenses. They had learned much from the last battle, and they needed to use that knowledge wisely. "We need to create a command center deep in the forests," Lena suggested. "It will be harder for the Empire to locate and attack us there." Her team nodded in agreement, eager to put their plans into action. As they worked, Lena reflected on the fight ahead. The Empire's arrogance had led to underestimating humans, but that arrogance could also lead to their downfall. If they could anticipate the Empire's moves, they might gain the upper hand again. Days passed, and the atmosphere was tense. The humans fortified their positions, while the Empire prepared for a renewed assault. Thrax had implemented new tactics, deploying advanced surveillance drones to locate human movements. He believed this would give him the advantage he needed. On the eve of the Empire's next attack, Lena gathered her troops. "Tonight we stand together," she said, her voice strong. "We have faced adversity and shown what we are capable of. Tomorrow, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every person who believes in our freedom. We will not let the Empire take our home." The soldiers cheered, their spirits lifted by her words. They understood what was at stake, and they were ready to defend their world. As night fell, the Empire launched its assault. Drones whirred overhead, illuminating the dark skies. Thrax was determined to find Lena's command center and take her out. "Focus fire on the forest edge," he ordered. "We will burn them out." But the humans were prepared. They had set up defenses, including traps and hidden bunkers, designed to absorb the Empire's assault. As the Empire's forces advanced, they found themselves ambushed from all sides. Human fighters emerged from the shadows, striking with precision and speed. Lena coordinated the attacks from her command center, her mind racing as she adapted to the Empire's movements. "Move left. Flank them from the rear," she shouted, her voice steady amid the chaos. The humans fought with a fierce determination that surprised even Thrax. As the battle intensified, Thrax began to realize that his forces were struggling. "How are they doing this?" He yelled in disbelief. The humans had turned the tide once again, and the Empire was losing ground. Suddenly, Lena's heart raced as she spotted a large Empire cruiser advancing toward her position. "We need to take that ship down," she called out. With a coordinated effort, the human fighters focused their fire on the cruiser, determined to bring it down. The cruiser shook under the assault, its shields flickering. Thrax watched in horror as his ship began to falter. "Fall back. Regroup," he shouted, but it was too late. The humans had found their weakness and were exploiting it. With a final surge of energy, Lena and her forces pushed forward, determined to drive the Empire back. The roar of their engines filled the air as they surged ahead, fighting not just for survival, but for their home and future. As the battle raged on, it became clear. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the strength of the humans. Lena's leadership and the bravery of her soldiers had turned the tide once more. They were not just fighting to survive. They were fighting for their identity, their freedom, and their very existence. And as the sun began to rise once more, the humans felt a renewed sense of hope. They were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together they could overcome even the most formidable of foes. The Galactic Empire had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. As the first light of dawn painted the skies over Arcadia, the remnants of the fierce battle lay scattered across the battlefield. Captain Lena Carter stood among her troops, the weight of their struggle heavy in the air. They had fought valiantly, but the Galactic Empire was not defeated yet. The time had come for one final stand. Admiral Thrax, aboard the Dreadnought Asterisk, seethed with frustration. His plans had crumbled, and his forces were in disarray. "We will not lose this fight," he declared to his remaining officers. "Prepare for a full-scale assault. We will crush them once and for all." He knew he had to act decisively. His reputation and the Empire's future depended on it. Back on the ground, Lena gathered her commanders. "This is it," she said, her voice steady despite the tension around her. "We need to create a defensive perimeter and draw them in. If we can hold them off long enough, we can make them realize that they can't control us." Her eyes sparkled with determination, and her team nodded, ready to fight. As the sun rose higher, the Empire prepared for their assault. Thrax launched wave after wave of ships, aiming to overwhelm the human defenses. "This time, we will not underestimate them," he said, his voice laced with determination. "We will show them the true power of the Empire." The humans fortified their positions, setting up barricades and using the landscape to their advantage. As the Empire advanced, Lena ordered her fighters to scatter and attack from multiple angles. "Don't let them group together," she shouted. "We need to keep them off balance." The first wave of Empire soldiers crashed against the human defenses like a tidal wave. Explosions rocked the ground, and the air was filled with the sounds of battle. Humans fought bravely, determined to protect their home. They knew they were up against a powerful enemy, but their resolve was unbreakable. As the battle raged, Lena found herself in the thick of the action. She moved from one position to another, rallying her troops and encouraging them to keep fighting. "Hold the line. We can do this," she yelled, her voice rising above the chaos. Admiral Thrax watched from the bridge of his ship, his frustration boiling. "Why can't we break them?" he muttered, his jaw clenched. The humans were fighting with a passion he had never seen before. They weren't just soldiers. They were defenders of their world. As the Empire pushed forward, they found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. The humans had set traps throughout the battlefield, and many Empire soldiers fell victim to them. "What is happening?" Thrax shouted as he watched his forces stumble into hidden mines and ambushes. In the midst of the chaos, Lena spotted an opportunity. The Empire was concentrating its fire on one section of the defenses, leaving other areas vulnerable. "Now's our chance," she called to her team. "Flank them. Hit them where they least expect it." With a surge of adrenaline, the human fighters launched a counterattack. They moved swiftly, exploiting the Empire's weaknesses and driving them back. The humans fought with every ounce of strength they had, fueled by the hope of victory. As the battle continued, the tide began to turn. Thrax watched in disbelief as his forces started to falter. The humans were relentless, and their unity was proving to be their greatest strength. "Fall back," he ordered, but it was too late. The humans pressed forward, their eyes set on victory. In the heat of battle, Lena felt a surge of hope. They were pushing the Empire back, and the realization that they could win began to sink in. "We are stronger together," she shouted, her voice echoing across the battlefield. "Let's finish this." The human forces surged forward, driving the Empire back with a wave of determination. The sounds of battle filled the air, but now it was mixed with the cries of triumph. One by one, Empire ships began to retreat, unable to withstand the relentless assault of the humans. As the last remnants of the Empire's forces fled, Lena felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. They had stood together against an overwhelming enemy and emerged victorious. She looked around at her soldiers, their faces filled with exhaustion, but also pride. They had fought for their home, for their families, and for their future, and they had won. The Galactic Empire had underestimated humanity, and now they would have to face the consequences of their arrogance. As the sun set on the battlefield, Lena raised her voice in celebration. "We are humanity. We will not be broken." Her soldiers erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring as they celebrated their hard-fought victory. The fight was not just for Arcadia, it was for every planet, every person who valued freedom. The Empire may have lost this battle, but the war for their future was far from over. Lena knew that together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. And with that, they began to rebuild, ready to protect their world against any threat that dared to approach. As the dust settled over the battlefield, the humans began to assess the damage. They had emerged victorious, but the cost was high. The once vibrant landscape of Arcadia was now scared by explosions and debris. Captain Lena Carter walked through the remnants of the conflict, her heart heavy but proud. They had fought for their home, and they had won. Lena gathered her officers to discuss their next steps. "We need to tend to the wounded and secure the area," she said, her voice steady. "But we also need to send a message. The Empire will not stop hunting us. We must prepare for what comes next." Her team nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. The victory was significant, but the threat of the Galactic Empire still loomed large. They needed to fortify their defenses and gather intelligence on any remaining enemy forces. As they worked to help the wounded, Lena's mind raced with thoughts of the future. What would it take to truly secure their freedom? She knew they could not let their guard down. The Empire would be furious and would seek revenge. Meanwhile, aboard the Dreadnought Asterisk, Admiral Thrax was consumed by anger and frustration. He paced the bridge, his fists clenched. "How could we lose to such inferior beings?" He spat. "We underestimated them, but we will not make that mistake again." He ordered his remaining forces to regroup and prepare for a counteroffensive. The Empire's leadership was furious, and Thrax knew he needed to act swiftly. "We must reclaim our honor," he told his officers, prepared to launch a full-scale invasion of Arcadia. "This time, we will eliminate the humans once and for all." Back on the ground, Lena and her team began fortifying their defenses. They set up new barricades and reinforced their positions. "We need to make sure we're ready for whatever the Empire throws at us," Lena instructed. "Let's gather intelligence on their movements and be prepared for any attacks." As they worked, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they needed to send a message to the galaxy. They had fought bravely, but the Empire needed to understand that humanity would not back down. They had a chance to inspire others to rise against their oppressors. After a long day of preparations, Lena called a meeting with her commanders. "We need to rally support from other planets," she said. "If we can unite other worlds against the Empire, We can create a coalition that will stand against them. Her vision inspired her officers, and they began to discuss how best to reach out. Meanwhile, the Empire was regrouping and plotting their next move. Thrax devised a plan to strike at the heart of human defenses, while also demonstrating their might. We will show them the true power of the Galactic Empire, he vowed. They will regret ever defying us. As the days turned into weeks, the tension in the galaxy grew. News of the humans' victory spread, inspiring others to consider rebellion against the Empire. Lena and her team worked tirelessly, forging alliances with sympathetic planets and rallying support. Lena made a broadcast to the galaxy, her words filled with passion and hope. To all the worlds under the Empire's boot, know this: we have stood against them and won. Together, we can rise up and reclaim our freedom. We will not be silenced or controlled any longer. Her message resonated with many, and soon messages of support began pouring in from across the galaxy. More planets were willing to join the fight against the Empire, and Lena felt a renewed sense of hope. The humans were no longer alone. They had allies ready to stand beside them. However, the Empire was not idle. Thrax knew that the tide was turning against them. We need to crush this rebellion before it gains momentum, he said, his voice laced with urgency. He ordered his fleet to begin preparations for a decisive strike against the humans. As Lena continued to build her coalition, she understood the importance of being ready for the Empire's retaliation. We must train our forces and prepare for the battle ahead, she told her team. We need to be stronger than ever. In the months that followed, the humans trained relentlessly, honing their skills and strategies. They knew that the next confrontation with the Empire would be crucial. The galaxy was watching, and their fight for freedom was inspiring hope everywhere. As they looked toward the future, Lena and her team remained focused on their goal. They were ready to defend their home and fight for their newfound allies. They would show the Empire that humanity was not just a threat to be eliminated, but a force to be reckoned with. And so, as the shadows of war loomed on the horizon, Lena felt a fire igniting within her. They would stand together, united in their fight for freedom. The Empire would soon learn that the spirit of humanity could not be extinguished, no matter the odds. As tensions rose across the galaxy, Captain Lena Carter prepared her forces for the inevitable clash with the Galactic Empire. They had spent months building alliances, training troops, and fortifying their defenses. Now, the time had come to confront the Empire once more. Lena knew this battle would be different. It was not just about Arcadia anymore. It was about freedom for all oppressed worlds. The war room buzzed with activity. Maps covered the walls, showing the locations of Allied forces and potential Empire movements. Lena stood at the center, addressing her commanders. We need to be strategic. The Empire will not underestimate us again, and they will strike hard, she warned. Our coalition is strong, but we must coordinate our forces to hit them where it hurts. Lieutenant Marcus, one of her most trusted advisors, spoke up. We've received reports that the Empire is gathering its fleet near Zeta Prime. If we can strike before they regroup, we may catch them off guard. The room fell silent as Lena considered his words. A surprise attack could be their best chance. Let's gather our allies, she said, her voice resolute. We'll launch a preemptive strike at Zeta Prime. We'll show them that we are ready to fight back. The commanders nodded, their spirits lifted by her determination. Meanwhile, aboard the Dreadnought Admiral Thrax was in a frenzy. His intelligence reports confirmed the humans' plans to attack Zeta Prime. They think they can catch us off guard. He sneered, anger bubbling within him. We will not be blindsided again. Prepare our fleet for immediate deployment. Thrax knew that the Empire needed to crush this rebellion before it could grow any stronger. He ordered his ships to converge on Zeta Prime, ready to meet the humans head-on. We will show them the true might of the Galactic Empire, he declared, his eyes blazing with fury. As the two sides prepared for battle, Lena and her team set their strategy in motion. They worked tirelessly to ensure communication lines were open between all Allied forces. "We need to coordinate our attacks perfectly," Lena emphasized. "Every moment counts." The day of the battle arrived, and the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Lena stood on the bridge of her ship, the Resolute Asterisk, looking out at the fleet gathered around her. Ships of all shapes and sizes, representing various planets, formed a formidable armada. "Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every world oppressed by the Empire," she shouted, her voice echoing through the command center. As they approached Zeta Prime, Lena felt a surge of determination. This was their chance to strike a blow against the Empire. The Coalition fleet dropped out of hyperspace, and the sight of the enemy fleet ahead was both daunting and exhilarating. The Empire's ships loomed large, ready for battle. "Prepare to engage," Lena commanded, her heart racing. The crew moved swiftly, checking systems and arming weapons. The moment was finally here. With a roar, the battle began. Energy beams lit up the void as both sides exchanged fire. Lena guided her forces with precision, calling out commands and directing her allies. "Flank them on the left. Target their command ship," she ordered, her focus unwavering. The humans fought with everything they had, fueled by the hope of freedom. Each explosion echoed the resilience of their spirit. They pushed forward, taking advantage of the Empire's formation, just as they had practiced. Admiral Thrax watched in disbelief as the humans fought back fiercely. "How are they holding their ground?" he shouted to his officers. The Empire's forces had expected an easy victory, but the humans were proving to be more than a nuisance. They were a true threat. As the battle raged on, Lena spotted a gap in the Empire's lines. "Now's our chance," she yelled, rallying her crew. "Follow me." They surged forward, exploiting the weakness, pushing deeper into the Empire's formation. The chaos of battle enveloped them, but Lena remained focused. Her heart pounded in her chest as she led the charge, determined to reach the heart of the enemy fleet. They had come too far to turn back now. Amid the sounds of war, Lena felt a sense of purpose. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for every oppressed world in the galaxy. With each passing moment, their resolve grew stronger. As the battle continued, it became clear that this clash would determine the fate of many worlds. The humans were proving to be a formidable force, and the Empire's grip on power was beginning to slip. Lena knew they were fighting for a future where freedom and hope could thrive, and she was ready to give everything for that cause. The outcome of this battle could change the course of history. Together, they would rise against tyranny and forge a new path for all who yearned to be free. The battle at Zeta Prime raged on, the void of space lit up by explosions and energy beams. Captain Lena Carter remained focused, her heart pounding with each command she issued. They had pushed deep into the Empire's lines, but the fight was far from over. The outcome of this battle could change the fate of many worlds. "Target their engines," Lena shouted, pointing toward an Imperial cruiser that was trying to regroup. The crew of the Resolute Asterisk moved quickly, locking on their weapons and firing. The cruiser shuddered as its engines took damage, losing speed and control. Lena felt a surge of hope. They could do this. They could win. Admiral Thrax, aboard the Dreadnought Asterisk, was filled with frustration. His plans were unraveling before his eyes. "Reinforce the left flank," he ordered, knowing they needed to regroup if they were to turn the tide. But the humans were relentless, attacking with a fury that took the Empire by surprise. As Lena directed her forces, she noticed the spirit of her crew. They fought not just for survival, but for freedom and a better future. Each small victory seemed to inspire them more, and their determination became palpable. Lena felt a bond growing among them, a unity that she knew would make them stronger. The battle intensified. Lena's ship took hits, alarms blaring as systems were strained. "We can't let up," she shouted. "Keep pushing forward." They were close to the command ship, the heart of the Empire's fleet. If they could disable it, they could break the Empire's spirit. With renewed determination, Lena led her team toward the command ship. As they neared, they faced heavy resistance. Empire fighters swarmed around them, but Lena ordered her crew to stay focused. Hold the line. Don't let them break us. The crew responded with fierce loyalty, each member doing their part. They maneuvered through the chaos, returning fire and taking out enemy ships. Lena felt adrenaline surging through her veins. They were making progress, but it wouldn't be easy. Finally, they reached a position where they could fire directly at the command ship. Now, target the command ship, Lena commanded. The Resolute unleashed a barrage of firepower, striking the ship's defenses. The Empire's command center was crucial to their strategy, and disabling it would send a shockwave through their ranks. On the bridge of the Dreadnought Thrax watched in horror as his command ship began to falter. "No, we cannot lose this," he shouted. He ordered his forces to regroup and launch a counterattack, but the humans pressed on relentlessly. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the command ship, sending debris flying. Lena cheered as she saw the ship begin to spiral out of control. "We did it. We can win this," she exclaimed, the realization hitting her. They were breaking the Empire's hold on the battle. But the fight was far from over. The Empire, realizing their command ship was lost, retaliated with desperation. They launched a last-ditch effort to drive the humans back. Thrax, filled with rage and determination, commanded his fleet to attack with everything they had. Lena braced herself as the Empire unleashed a wave of firepower. "Stay focused. We can't give up now," she yelled. The crew responded, rallying around her words. They had come too far to turn back. The fight for their freedom was not just for themselves. It was for all worlds that had suffered under the Empire's tyranny. As the two sides clashed fiercely, Lena felt a surge of hope. They were on the verge of a breakthrough. Just then, a message came through from their allies. "We're coming to support. Hold the line." Lena's heart soared. Help was on the way, and they would not be alone in this fight. With renewed strength, Lena rallied her forces. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone who dreams of freedom. Let's show them what we're made of." Her words ignited a fire in her crew, and they surged forward, pushing back against the Empire's assault. The tide of the battle shifted once more. The combined forces of the coalition began to overpower the Empire. Thrax realized he was losing control. "Retreat. We need to fall back," he barked, but it was too late. The humans were closing in. As the Empire retreated, Lena felt a rush of triumph. They had fought fiercely and were on the brink of victory. The battle had been hard, but they had shown the galaxy that humanity would not be oppressed any longer. As the last remnants of the Empire fled the battlefield, Lena and her crew erupted in cheers. They had done it. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. Together, they had forged a new path for their world and for the galaxy. With the dawn breaking on the horizon, Lena looked out into space, her heart filled with hope. This victory was just the beginning. They would continue to fight for freedom and justice, inspiring others to join them in their quest for a better future. The galaxy would soon know that humanity would not be silenced. The dawn of a new era was upon them, and they were ready to embrace it.